When we think about changing jobs, or maybe we've been laid off and we're looking for a job, one of the first things that we tend to think about doing is creating a resume, right? I mean, a resume is important collateral. We need a resume in order to help us move into a new job. However, putting our resume first can be the exact thing that prevents us from changing jobs or finding a new job. It's what I call, or other people have referred to as, putting the cart before the horse. So if that's true, what's the horse? We need to make sure that our confidence is strong before we put our resume together. If our confidence is not strong, it will show up as a weak resume. Here's what I mean. I have a client. She is a vice president for a Fortune 500 company. She worked for them for many years, and then they had a big layoff. It really had nothing to do with her abilities. It had to do with cost cutting. But like most of us in that kind of a situation, it takes a big hit on our confidence. And when she sent her resume to me and looked up at her title across the top, it said director, not vice president, director. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a director, but if you've been a vice president for 5 years, what would cause you to demote yourself to director? It broke my heart to read this. And so the first thing, before she sent out any more resumes into that black hole called an ATS, is to build her confidence. And when we did that, she changed her title back to vice president, and it gave her the confidence to start reaching out to her network and asking for where might be opportunities for her. And then she started getting interviews. The truth is, if we don't consciously demote ourselves like my client did, there are other ways that hit to our confidence or lack of confidence will show up in our resume. Let me give you a few examples on what you can do about it. We may create what is called a splatter resume. So a splatter resume is when we put everything that we've ever done in our career on that resume, hoping that something is going to stick and we'll land a job. It's a little bit like throwing the proverbial pasta against the refrigerator and hoping it will stick. It doesn't work. We have to be very specific about what we are committed to doing, what we're passionate about, where we help people and companies resolve problems. But if we don't feel confident, we may not focus our resume to that extent. Here's another one. We may use words that are weak. So maybe a passive word like I was responsible for. Instead, we want to use very strong, powerful words like I spearheaded a project. We may limit our opportunities. What I mean by that is we may have skills, experience, problems we solved that could transfer into any number of industries. But if our confidence takes a hit, we may think that we have to limit ourselves to the industry that we've already been in. we may not reach out to our network. And we may just send resume after resume into those ATS systems. And you know what happens then? Virtually nothing. I can't tell you the number of people that told me that they get ghosted by those ATS systems, especially if you're over 40, because we now know that 96% of everyone over 40 who gets a new job gets it through their network. We might get stuck because we see technical aspects or requirements on a job offering that we don't know or we haven't learned yet. Instead, what we really need to be doing is focusing on the problem that we can solve for a company or a client. The worst case scenario is that we may give up on ourselves before we get started. I met a woman a number of years ago, and she was leaving a very large company, had been laid off. And yes, it took a hit to her confidence. And I talked to her recently, and she told me that she struggled for 2 years to find a good job that was equal to what she had before. And finally, because she needed an income, because she was a primary provider, she took a job. It didn't give her the responsibilities that she had before or the income that she'd had before. And what she said to me broke my heart. She said, "I just gave up." I don't want you to give up. It's not necessary to give up. That's a horrible feeling. It's normal and natural when we get beat up by a job or we lose a job through a layoff or a downsizing of some sort, or a company goes out of business. It's normal and natural to lose have a hit to our confidence. But we can rebuild that confidence. And it's critical that you do that before you write your resume. So if you are thinking about changing jobs or changing careers, or you're in that place where you're already laid off or out looking for a job and you're struggling, well, don't do it by yourself. Call me. Let's have a conversation and see what it is that you need to rebuild your confidence so that your resume reflects the powerful, strong, savvy, knowledgeable, experienced woman leader that you are. Just if message me, or here's better, maybe go down into the comments and I'll leave a link to my schedule where you can schedule a time to talk to me. Remember this, great things are happening right now. Let's get going.